I'm farmer in Emily, County Prairie. Spring calving, 210 cows, and I've bought this system last January 2018 for the first time. The herd has size increased from about 140 cows maybe 5 or 6 years ago to 210 now. So even though heat detection was quite good, we're hitting 90% submission rate in 3 weeks, it was taking an awful lot of my time. I constantly had to be there with different staff people in and out. I was only comfortable when I was doing it myself, so I was always had to be there morning and evening. So I was looking for a system where I could free myself up to not have to be there all the time, even though I am there all the time. So that led me to looking at a few different systems. Now, there is several systems out there, and I really seriously looked at two. Your system being recommended to me by somebody I knew as a friend, and so Padraig came out to me and we went through the system. Then I went looking at other systems, and at the end of the day, I thought I got better value for money from the HerdInsights system, and now after using it for most of the year, it has done what I wanted it to do. The best feature for me is the labour saving. There's no heat detection, there's no tail painting, there's no standing in a gap with a pencil trying to write down all these cows. The cows now are in the parlour in the morning, and I'll come back to that in a second. They arrive in the yard at their own time, and the phone is starting to beep. All the cows' numbers are there on the phone for me, and they're also there for the lads that work there as well. Just all you do is enter them in the drafting system, and that is them finished. So there's no... One thing I must say before I go on, I was not looking for another heat detection aid. Tail paint is an aid, scratch cards are an aid, KMRs are an aid. I didn't want another heat detection aid. I wanted a heat detection system that said these cows are in heat or are maybe in heat, a shortlist. I don't need something that has to be interpreted by me or a third party. So this system has done that as well. The biggest health benefit for me is not one that's maybe very obvious, but if we go back to 12 months where I was heat detection with tail paint, I was bringing the cows to the gap every morning myself and evening, opening the gap and writing down the cow's number as they passed me out the gate. It's the only way I was above them, I could see the tail paint, and then following up the cows. And we were getting a lot of lameness because the cows were bunching and rushing and stuff, and we were pressurising the cows. But now the cows stroll up because I've put in a bat latch at the gap. The cows now, the gap opens an hour before milking or whatever, depending on how far they away. The cows stroll up in their own time. The heat detection is done automatically, so I don't have to be waiting at the gate. And we've at least reduced our lameness this year by 50%. Now, it was pretty bad last year, but it's been hugely beneficial in that regard. We've got a few alerts from sickness. Some cows that you would walk past in the parlour, we've examined them, they are actually sick. But the way I look at it, it's like we have a cold, they're sick, but they're not enough worth treating. But I'd always prefer to have a cow in the pen that's not in heat, or a cow that's in the pen because we thought she was sick, but she's not. Always err on a point of caution. That's the way. The movement of cows to the paddock is the one big change. The second change, we've gone back to twice a day AI because the system is retrospective, and it's put in this morning, it's served this evening, and vice versa. I do my own AI, so it's no big deal to do those type of cows. At the start, before I got the system, I said, if this system, in my own head, if this system is as good as I was when I was putting in all the effort, and it was a lot of effort, and I was getting the 90% submission rate, and maybe a percent or two above it, I'd be happy. This thing beat me by 4 or 5%. It got 95. It also, what it does, those cows that are bulling at 3 weeks, a third 3-week cycle, I was saying to myself before, am I missing these ladies? Now when a cow comes bulling in the third 3-week cycle, I'm meant to look back now on the graph and say, actually, I did not miss a heat. These cows were not bulling at all. So they've lost an embryo. So that's kind of peace of mind as well. We used to do the lazy man's pre-breeding. So what's that? So we tail paint everything red the 1st of April, and as they come bulling once a week, we paint everything green. Theory, a lovely system.
Sorry, I didn't.
We weren't recording any numbers, sorry. In theory, it's a lovely system, but it never accounted for cystic cows. So a cow could be painted red today, she comes bulling in a week's time, we paint her green. Next time she comes in, the green has gone off, so you don't have to show whether she was red or green, you paint her green again. So at the start of breeding season, you have all the cows that have cycled, but you have all the cystic ones as well. So This year, because all that was done automatically, get the spreadsheet that Paul or Maggie, I think, showed me how to do. We had to run that through, so we treated all those cows pre-breeding. I'm quite happy with the system, and if we can get, in my head, 5 years out of the system without having to put in much or little or no more finance or collars into the system, it'll more than have paid for itself in my system. 5 years and it will have washed its face, just on the calf value. So before I was using my own stock bulls as clean-up bulls, and they were crossbreds because I have a crossbred cow. So you end up with crossbred bulls. Crossbred bulls are worth virtually nothing. This year, because it was all AI, I was able to use Hereford on all of those cows. So we'll just take, for example, 50 cows that would normally have a Jersey bull calf, call it what you like, a tenner, 500 euros. Now, if I can turn all those calves into a 100 euro Hereford calf, bull or heifer, that's 5 grand. 5 grand over 5 years, 25,000, that's the system paid for. That's excluding labour, heat detection, aids to be bought. There was no tail pain bought, that's only a minor thing. Reducing lameness, you could bring a whole load of stuff into this. I don't actually know where you'd start and finish with it. So when you have a bull, you've safety issues, and with that side of a herd, you're running more than one bull. So even though you can keep an eye on one guy, there's 2 or 3. And yearling Jersey bulls can very often look like a Jersey cow. They're nearly the same size. So it's hard to spot them, and bulls do queer things. So, and the other issue was, even though when I was using a bull, I was AIing as well, because when I was an AI technician years ago with Urogin, every year I'd get a herd where the bull left them down. And even though I'd fertility test them and everything, you just don't know, so you're always belt and braces, so there was always that cost. And keeping a bull around the place for 12 months, to use it for 6 weeks, and he may be lame, infertile, or break his rod in the meantime, it's a huge cost. It's a huge, huge cost. So how valuable is support to me? At the start, invaluable, right? Because the system needs to bed in. Then you've got to get in your head how this whole thing works. Another great benefit I found very early on was having the cows in different groups, so pregnant group, and moving to I used to form my own group, a colostrum group, and then the milking cows. So and even though we're having a lot of cows, it was a very, very handy way of saying, right, the milking cows are in, we have 112. If we're 20 in a parlour, there should be 12 milking cows in the last line. Keeping track of that, and then there's 20 cows in the colostrum group. We should have 20 cows according to the phone. Before we had a total, but we never knew how many cows are in each group. If you have guys working for you, and you have an antibiotic cow, and she slips between groups by accident, that's a major problem if you end up with antibiotics in the tank. So it's a very handy way of calculating how many animals are in each group. But then if other time, as it goes on during the year, you might have I might ring Maggie and say, look, there's a cow here, what do you make of her? Although I don't think I did it terribly often. I'd make a call myself, and yeah, if in doubt, serve her. Breeding, 100%. 100% this year, we used no bull at all with the cows. My first year using it, and we went full hog at it. This is doing the job. I was confident after, not the first 3 weeks, because the first 3 weeks is easy 3 weeks, there's loads of activity. But as we were going through the second week and the second 3 week cycle and the third 3 week cycle, I became more and more like, this is working. Even when numbers got small. Even at the moment, I still have the culls in the herd, or the empties in the herd. Even though there's only 1 cow or 2 cows bulling every day, it's still flagging them as if there was the first 3 weeks of the breeding season. So I am sold. For me, it was the best value for money, and I'd have no problem with it.